welcome to Ellen Ruth's Soap. I'm Ellen, and today it's time for me to restock my triple butter bars. And one of the things that I do when I make my triple butter bars is I use a different fragrance every time. It's the same recipe, and I try to do the same color theme, but today I'm going to do a little twist on this recipe. So this is the first time I've ever done a little different on the design of the soap as well as the fragrance. And what inspired me was the fragrance we're using today is from Be Scented. It's called French Lavender and Honey. This is a Bath & Body Works dupe, and it just smells delightful. I think it's unisex. I know the French lavender sounds like it would be feminine. I don't think it is. The honey in there is a very earthy sweet. It's not sickly sweet, and I just think this is fantastic. And so when I do my triple butter bars, I always color it with this matte yellow oxide pigment from Wholesale Supplies Plus because I think it's such a nice buttery color. But today I'm actually going to also use from Brambleberry. I have this ultramarine pink oxide, and it's not really very pink. I'm just going to do a touch of this in here because of the French lavender, and I won't do a lot, just a little, but I'm mixing it up. This is the first time I've ever added a second color in my triple butter bars. So one of the other things that I do in my triple butter bars is I add buttermilk and cream powders to the oil, so that makes it really milky and delightful. Such a great bar of soap. So we're mixing it up more than usual this time. Can't wait to get in here. And I'm going to be making a double batch today, and I will show you how I do a double batch. I do it really simple, the cheater method. I just make 2 single batches. That's how I do a double batch, but it just makes measuring everything out. I just do it twice. For me, it's easier to tackle than doing it in a ginormous bucket because, you know, then you have to pour and it gets messy. So the way I tackle a double batch is 2 single batches, but I'll bring you along as I'm doing it. So let me get everything pulled together and we will come back and make some luxurious triple butter soap. Right, we are back and ready to make a double batch of triple butter here. And again, the way I do a double batch is 2 single batches. If I had both of these in one container, for me, you know, it's just harder to pour out and measure and make sure each mold is even. So when I have the oils out and I'm measuring, it's just easier to just do it twice over. So this is how I do a double batch. I do 2 singles, and it's time for the dry additives to go in. And so with the triple butter, I'm going to be doing my heavy cream powder and buttermilk powder in there, along with my colloidal oats and kale and clay, my normal good stuff. This is a 2 tablespoon scoop. Here's the buttermilk. I will be doing 2 tablespoons of each dry ingredient in each bucket here. So buttermilk in. Let's get the cream powder out. Here's the cream, 2 tablespoons. Colloidal oats. And kale and clay. All right, let me get these all blended up and we will get back with our lye solution. Back with batch number 1 and my lye solution here, which has cane sugar, tussa silk, and sodium lactate in there. And I am going to be using a strainer when I pour it because I made this last night and it has a little bit of lye lint in it, so I'll just use the strainer to make things nice and smooth. I also want to mention I have my oxides pre-dispersed in a little light oil here, just a little sunflower oil. It's recommended with oxides to pre-mix them for a little smoother blend, so I went ahead and did that for each of my colors, and I have 4 of these off to the side, so 1 yellow and 1 pink for this batch and 1 for the other. So everything is all sort of prepped and ready to go. And I do have the fragrances already in here just to make things a little easier when it comes time to split colors and everything. It got good reviews that it's well behaved and I don't anticipate any issues with it, so I felt comfortable putting it in here, but I'll proceed cautiously. So I'm going to pour my lye through the strainer here and get the first batch blended up and in the mold, and then I'll just repeat it and do it all over again for batch number 2.
the next day. It's been 24 hours since we made both of these batches, and this is exactly how I had them stacked last night, and then I put a blanket over the whole caboodle. So this did go through gel phase, and there it is. I think this is so pretty, soft and gentle. I think it looks buttery. It smells so good. So let's get these out of the mold and see how that hanger swirl came out on both of these. Back with the lovely Olga, and we're going to cut in our first loaf of 6. So I want you to notice how bright the outside of the soap is and look at the inside. You can see the rim. This darker kind of olivey color is going to lighten up to this creamy beige color. As this is exposed to the air and stuff, it will lighten up to a prettier beige. So yeah, don't let that olivey tint throw you off. So excited to get in here and see how these swirls came out. All right. Hopefully, we're going to have some pretty soapy patterns going on. Oh yeah, that's pretty. Now, even though I did pre-mix the oxides in oil, a little bit of sunflower oil, the pink one still had some little dots in it. I actually think it's quite lovely, but it wasn't, just butter smooth. It did have some spots. So that is what those little flecks are that you're seeing. Here you can see that is going to be the finished color. This inside is going to lighten up as it gets exposure to air here and finishes curing. So this fragrance was wonderful to work with. No discoloration, I think, when we're done. It smells beautiful. It does have that French lavender overnote, but I would consider this a unisex because it's not overtly floral and it has that honey kick in the background. Not a sweet kick, but I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of an earthy kick. I think it's quite beautiful, and I would consider these unisex, even with the pink swirly. I think it's lovely. I know my husband would not mind using this bar at all. Let's get into the next loaf here. And I wanted to do just a subtle top because this is all about the butters that are in this bar. Those are the main feature of my triple butter bars, is the mango, shea, and cocoa butter. I do equal portions of them, generous portion of the oils. So the rest of the bar is just the subtleties, and the butters are the main event. But with all that being said, this was fun to make. And again, this fragrance behaved perfectly. No issues whatsoever. I love it. So let's talk about the additives. I put a lot of dry powders in this. I'm really surprised I don't have more swirls in here. That's surprising to me. It's pretty. I like how subtle it is. But dry additives, let's talk about that. So I added, my colloidal oats and my kaolin clay like I normally do. And then I also added the buttermilk and the cream powders. And it makes a beautiful, smooth batter. So a word about dry ingredients. I have not reached the point where you can overload. In fact, I've talked about this before, and I do want to make a soap with heavy clay where I kind of try to overload it. I have heard that a heavy clay soap is still gorgeous. So we'll experiment with that at another time. But my rule of thumb is a teaspoon of dry additive per pound of oils. And I will duplicate that. So like 1 teaspoon per pound of oils for the oats, 1 teaspoon per pound for the clay, not total. So that is a lot of dry ingredients, and I have had no issues at all speeding trace or making the bar weird. I absolutely love how it feels in the finished lather. So me and dry ingredients, I'm a fan. I've had no issues with adding the dry powders. All right, here is the last loaf on this batch. So pretty. I'm really happy with how that little touch of the pink in there to kind of accent the lavender fragrance came out for my triple butter. I'm kind of going a little bit beyond what I normally do. Okay, this is where the swirls are. If we have some swirly patterns, I will show them at the end, and I think we might now that I see this loaf. And that's the fun thing too, as I cut into the next batch. You saw I did them exactly side by side, one right after the other, and they're going to be so different. And that's what I love about handcrafted soap. Oh, we got a little air pocket here, which is when I bevel the sides, I will make a little soap dough and fill that in. No big deal. But I love that about handcrafted soap. You can do them back to back, everything exactly the same, and no two bars are going to be the same. I love that. So custom. So I'm going to fast forward through the rest of the cutting of these and the beveling and the stamping and all the good stuff. So I thank you so much for joining me today, and please ignore my banged up fingers. I had a run-in with a shopping cart. They are healing. Anyway, I appreciate you taking the time to join me. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything going on in the soap studio. And I hope you have a wonderful day.